I'm going to make another video because the other one conked out. It's probably saved in my gallery, so I'll put them up together. But yeah, I was talking about the pharmaceutical, the allopathic model, which is to diagnose a disease or a sickness or an illness and then prescribe a pharmaceutical pill to control the disease. I don't know of any. I don't know that they cure anything. I suppose a surgeon, if you went in with a problem with your shoulder or your arm, so I'm sure they could get you back to feeling pretty much normal. So in a sense, they did cure you, but in most cases, you'll find things like that will come back, and you'll probably need another surgery or whatever. I don't know. I haven't. I've had a few surgeries, mostly dealing with what I'm dealing with now, which is my wound, which is I've had surgeries for skin cancer, and I've had several of those where they had to cut, and many where they spray you down. They could just dip me in that solution when I go in there. But I've had, let's see, I had a big chest flap where they had to give me surgery for melanoma on my chest, and then I've had it on my leg, my arm, and then this recent one's down by my ankle and one on my calf that they did recently as well. So I've had my share of them, and God bless the surgeon. He allegedly got the cancer out. That's what they tell me anyway. And the healing process has been a bear. I'm not going to lie. I mentioned on the other video, which hopefully is in my gallery so you can catch up with what I'm talking about here. I don't want to repeat myself too much. But yeah, it's, whenever I'm laid up with something like this, it takes away from my normally active lifestyle. I like to work out. I like to go for walks. I like to work. I have a job as a crossing guard, and I like to work. I like to go. I don't like to miss days. I never miss days, but this has caused me to not so much miss days, but I've had to kind of curtail my normal way of doing business. I kind of stay in my car a little bit longer so I don't have to spend too much time on my feet, and I wait for the kids to get out of school. Whereas before, I'd be out there helping the parents cross the street. Sometimes the parents come with other children, smaller children. I like to be there and make sure they get across safely as well. And I still try to do that. But on days like today, the pain is pretty high level. And when it's high level like this, it takes its toll on what I can do. I do the best I can, and like we all do. Many of you watching this, I'm sure you've worked with illnesses and sicknesses that a lot of people might have stayed home for. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit frustrated. I went to the wound center yesterday, and I think I told some of you in a previous video that I was going to see a vascular surgeon about the possibility of getting an angiogram, because the people at the wound center were concerned that I wasn't getting enough blood flow to the area of the wound. And, it was a good thought. But but I had seen this vascular surgeon before, and, I was getting a strong pulse. He did all kinds of tests, and he said I had a very strong pulse, and he didn't see any problem with the blood flow to the wound area at all. So they sent me to the same vascular surgeon. He's right down there. It's actually his office that he has. He's only up in my area on Thursdays. He operates out of the Beth Israel in Boston. So he comes up to my area on Thursday. So his office that he uses up here is connected to the hospital I go to with the wound center. So I went to the wound center, and then it was just a 5-minute walk over to his office. So that worked out well. But I kind of had a feeling what he was going to say, and I'm actually glad he said it, because I didn't feel that an angiogram was going to prove anything other than what we already knew, that, this injury, this wound, I was told by the surgeon that it was going to take a long time to heal. It's it's going to take 6 months. We're about a little over 3 months into it, and I'm not saying I'm 50% healed, but probably 40%, you know. I mean, the pain was much worse in the beginning, but it's, you know, I had a little reprieve. I thought I was really turning a corner last week and the last few days, but I go to the wound center yesterday, and oftentimes, as good as they are, they're great people, and I know they're trying to help me. But there's disturbances when you go there. You know, they take the bandage off. They start poking and prodding. And I always come out of there in a lot of pain. And the next day I get pain too. So this is kind of a normal response to my visit to the wound center. I'm kind of thinking I might suggest every other week because, you know, I just don't need this pain. I'm really having a hard time with the pain. It's just taking its toll on me, I guess. And not to burden my friends here on YouTube, but you know, we've all been in pain. I'm just trying to compare the allopathic medicine model with what I believe in, the Chinese traditional medicine, which is herbs. And I've been taking turmeric for pain, and it seems to help a lot. You know, it doesn't help right away, and it probably doesn't give me the same relief I would get if I were taking Tylenol or one of those. But, you know, Indian people eat a lot of turmeric, and to the best of my knowledge, they don't get side effects from it. Other than I might get a little orange. It's a very, anyone who's taken turmeric, if you put it in your hands, it'll leave you a stain on you. But it's, you know, I take it in capsule form, and I also spread some on my food. So, you know, it does help. No question. I just took some about 45 minutes ago, and it's just starting to kick in now. It does take a while to kick in, so I can feel a little relief right now. And so I'm grateful for that because, again, I don't subscribe. I'll be right up front with you. I don't subscribe to the allopathic model of medicine. You know, just, you know, diagnoses, pharmaceutical intervention. And again, I prefer the other more traditional in the sense of what, you know, back thousands of years ago people used to fix their pain. And the funny thing is, all of the pharmaceuticals are the base of all the pharmaceuticals that are produced is based on plants, and then they put their chemicals in with the plants, and that's, to me, is where they ruin the process. But I think that's how you get hooked on it. See, they need a subscription model. Pharmaceutical companies. I mean, if they did have a cure for something, and they cured everyone from the problem, like let's say they came up with a cure for cancer, and they had a pharmaceutical product, they gave you the cure. Well, what's going to happen then? You get cured and you don't need them anymore, so they're out of business. So I'm not very trusting of the... Listen, greed causes dishonesty. There's so much corruption in government, and governments connected with pharmaceuticals, and you know, lobbyists, and you know, doctors. I'm sorry, but I've run into some doctors who are, you know, they're just pharmaceutical prostitutes as far as I'm concerned. But I've run into some good ones lately too, and especially at the wound center. And again, I don't mean it to mean the people at the wound center, but they're looking for, their model is X amount of weeks you should be healed. I think their model is 16 weeks, which probably is what the insurance covers. I'm guessing. I don't know that for a fact. I'm going to check that out. I'll get back to you on that some video down the road. But again, they've done a fine job of trying to help me, and you know, they're very caring, concerned people, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm not grateful for what they've done to me. I am, and I tell them that all the time. But at the same time, anyway, they send me to this vascular surgeon. I know I wandered off there. Sorry about that. And so I go to see him yesterday, and, he does the test with his little Geiger counters there, and I'm getting a loud pulse. And I said, he goes, when you were here before, he said, I said, yeah, you got the same pulse. And so he looked at it. He said, yeah, you're right. And I said, I don't know if the wound people are just looking for an. And he goes, well, they're good. They know what they're talking about. So maybe we could do some sort of intervention. And then he puts his fingers on my leg right above the wound to take the pulse. And he looks at me and he said, disregard what I just said. There's no way I can intervene. I can find a pulse with my finger. So what he was saying was, so he said, there's no need for me to do anything. He said, you got a strong pulse. And he said, it's probably what your surgeon said. It's just going to be a long healing process. And so then he recommended I go back and see my surgeon just to have him take a look at the wound. I should do that anyway. The reason I didn't was they handed me over to the wound center, and my assumption was that the wound center people were going to keep it clean, and they have. But I would like to, I'm going to call him right now, as a matter of fact, and see if I can set up an appointment and just have him take a look at it and see what he thinks. Anyway, talk to you later, folks. Thanks for listening.